Let's talk about mini games in FF10-2. I've done some of the story, but I want to cover that more tomorrow. What I do want to talk about is this weird thing in FF10-2, which is just kind of not good at all. It's very odd. It's really unusual. It feels a little bit like they had all these ideas for Final Fantasy X, but they couldn't squeeze them all in. So they had all these like little things they wanted to do to make it into like a big mega complete package. But Final Fantasy X is already a big mega complete package, and they just had tons of stuff left over. I almost feel like they in the creative process of creating 10, they're like, we could do this, we could do that, we could do this kind of thing. That could be fun. This could be cool. And ultimately, it was like, it's too much, right? There's already so much going on in 10. They had the whole Calmlands farming beasts things. They had stuff everywhere in 10, and on top of a monolithic story. So it feels like it's bled its way, all these unused ideas, into 10-2, which I've now discovered 10-2 was made very quickly. Very similar to what happened with Ocarina of Time into Majora's Mask, is they had a very limited time they wanted to capitalize. Obviously, they don't often make sequels to mainline Final Fantasies. They wanted to do one for 10. 10 was extremely successful. Now we want to make a sequel to it and move forward. So 10-2 comes in and they're like, oh, well, we've already got all this extra stuff, you know, or perhaps that was the idea. Is like, well, we have so much extra stuff. We could actually put together another game and we could have another one. We've got a whole other game's worth of stuff that we can put into this. So it starts off pretty early when you play Final Fantasy X-2, is you start getting introduced to a lot of mini games. So the digging appears. Then you get a full Pokemon game, which I've barely touched. And it's a full-on Pokemon game with its own arena, battle systems. These things can accompany you. Apparently that came later in the game. The digging thing, which is like, okay, now you can get the Albed primers. Now you can travel to these various areas. Now you can get this done. And then it just sort of expands from that point, and there's lots and lots of them. There's really a lot of them, and they're very, very hit and miss. And it's a little frustrating sometimes, because what you're looking for is like some nice side stories, right? Because a lot of the game, like almost the bulk of the game, is actually side content. That's what it is. The main story will go along pretty quickly and is okay so far. It's starting to show its teeth. I think they could have done this earlier in the game, is actually start getting the main story going, but they really wanted to establish that Yuna is her own person now. She's not going to be beholden to being the High Summoner. That part of her life is not done, but mostly done, and she doesn't want to spend the rest of her life just being this sagely wise person. So she's going to have to have adventures and do stuff with her own life, and now things are getting really bad. Again, we'll cover the main story later, but it takes quite a few hours. If you are doing the side content, I'll check here. It's hard to tell because it's actually mixed into the same launcher as the original 10. But I think we had 66 hours in 10, and we're at 89 now. So we put a fair few hours into this game at this point, and we're on chapter 3 of the main story. But to give context, in terms of how much side stuff there is, you can go from chapter 1 to chapter 2 in about 2 hours. And I think you can go from 2 to 3 in about an hour, 2 hours as well. It's going through the main story is a very short period of time. The rest of it is side content, which is, again, hit and miss. But I wanted to focus today on the minigames. So they started rearing their head pretty early on, like I said, like the digging and stuff. And then you would bump into side missions because there's lots of them all over the place. And now that's heavily turned into, once you hit a piece of side content, like some sort of story will kick off, it very quickly turns into another minigame. And the game just doesn't support them that well. I think this is the weakest part of this game in general. Like, every now and again, there's a decent one. So the first one we got was a shooting minigame, where you have like guns and you can lock onto various fiends. You know, there'll be dogs and birds and things like that, and you have to shoot them, and it give you different ammo drops. So you get like double shot, you'll get kill shot, things like that you can swap between with the bumper. And the camera doesn't support this type of minigame, like, at all. The toughest part of doing this minigame is not actually killing anything. It's getting a camera angle so you can plan what you want to do, because the cameras are fixed for the most part in FF10. And so like, a lot of the camera angles during this minigame are just locked into a way where you can't see anything that's coming. So you need to try and find the right camera angle. It's like, oh, well, I can only really play from here, because I don't know if 2 enemies are coming, so I want to use double shot. I don't know if a big enemy's coming, so I want to use kill shot to get that out of the way. Otherwise, it's going to cost me X amount of ammo. And then you have to run forward to collect the ammo and then run back so you can get the right camera angle again. And then this is quite lengthy, and I assume it gives you something good. It probably gives you a new job, because that's one of the bigger rewards and regular rewards that they give you in the game is a new job or a new grid sphere to empower your characters in some way. So I think Gun Mage is locked behind one of these. The gun one itself is that you have to do that minigame and beat it in order to get Gun Mage. Then they're like, oh, well, you can do 10 rounds of this for a super special reward, right? It is an RPG, so there's a big reward at the end of it. But the prospect of doing that is extraordinarily tedious. Like, that is a flat no from me. So you're like, okay, I did this. I'm going to move on. Then suddenly you're like, okay, now you need to go and do an escort mission. And you're like, an escort mission? Like, yep, now there's an escort mission where a cart will proceed along and now you have to just kill enemies. And it's a very, very simple process. They die in like one hit, but you've got the combat animation, you've got all that kind of stuff. So you've got an escort mission that goes along with it. Then you're going to find the Cactuar Nation. The Cactuar Nation now wants you to solve little riddles to go and find 10 cactuses somewhere in the world. The clues aren't particularly difficult. And in fact, one of the biggest hindrances I had to this was that if I went to a certain area, it might proc the MSQ, which I don't want to do. So I need to like circumnavigate around that to make that happen. Then there'll be a running through the fog minigame where you've got to find where you go. I think in total I've maybe done 12. And yesterday I hit a really big one called Spear Break, which was a big tournament that was happening in Lucca, where the tutorial for this lasted longer than I actually played the game itself. It was so elaborate into what it was. Essentially, it's counting. Can you add numbers together? And it was just... It's like, okay, now there's modifiers. Now you have to meet this quota, but you also have to do it in this amount of turns. You are playing against someone, but not really. It doesn't matter at all that there's another person playing. It's very half-baked. Because I'm like, what does it matter who I'm playing against? Are they deciding the numbers of coins that appear? But you need 4 entry coins in order to play the game, but you can use other entry coins, but they're not going to raise your quota. You have to get it to multiples of certain numbers, and you have to do... It was like, okay. I mean, I get the game. And then you play it and you're like, this is just not fun. It's not Gwent or something like that, right? It's not fun. And it's also a hit and miss opportunity. If you don't do it, you just don't get the reward. Although maybe you get another chance to get it later on in the game. But if you lose 3 rounds, which I did because there was a mechanic that you just never do during the tutorial, which makes a dramatic difference to how this game works. And I was like, wait, you could do this? Oh, okay, that totally changed it. And then we like won games, and then I fluffed it on the last one, I'm not going to lie. Then I had to give tickets out to people. I had to find people who needed balloons. I had to find like 10 people who need balloons. Now we've got a balloon minigame. Now we've got to find people who need tickets. Got to find all the tickets, and then you got to travel around dropping tickets off. Now we've got to find, compete with the Albed in a little kill the machines minigame that goes across various areas. And it just keeps... There's a lot of them, man. There's a lot of them. And I think these are ideas... Looking at it from my point of view of somebody who receives a lot of ideas and has a lot of ideas and has to sort of pick, you know, these are the ones that are worthwhile. A lot of these should have just been left on the cutting room floor. Like, okay, yeah, we could do that, but is that this fun? Like, and also once it's been tested, it's like, you know what? Maybe we've kind of put too much into a game that you can fail in 3 rounds where we've got... I think it's like an 8 sub-menu tutorial that's animated and auto runs and things like that for a game that the player might just not be able to play, isn't going to play more than 3 rounds, right? Is this have we gone too far with this? You know, these kind of questions. Like, okay, is it particularly fun? I want to draw a reference here to the one versus the Albed. So they say the highway road has now become infested with Machina. And so the Albed are out there killing them, and we want you to go and kill them. It doesn't really matter who wins, although you get a score counter. But it's made the highway road, like, really dangerous, so you need to go out there. I swear to you guys, the encounter rate in this game in normal zones is extraordinarily high. Like, sometimes you can move, like, 2 steps, and you'll get another encounter, and another encounter. You can barely move for encounters, and you'll get very brief stretches where you can run around, but mostly you'll hit an encounter pretty quickly. Which isn't too bad, I don't mind that. But when I say the highway road that is like a dangerous place where they're having this competition is the safest place I found in this game at all. Like, struggling to find things to fight. I was like, what is this? This is like this is the safest place in this entire game. It's more dangerous to be like in a city where you can still get encounters in some of the places compared to this highly dangerous road that they're putting out there. It's just really goofy and funny. And I was like, okay, now you need to hunt down a chocobo and find that chocobo, and you've got to box it in. And you can tell it's not fully fleshed out, or fully thought out, or fully, care hasn't been taken in some cases. And the reason I say that is the way the camera works, it'll often sort of, it regularly doesn't leave you pointing in the direction you should go. And it's just something I noticed over the last couple of days is like the camera will cut back after it's done a little cutscene to sort of like explain and set up what this new minigame is going to be. And the Chocobo one was a particular instance of this. Is the idea is like Chocobos aren't used anymore because they have tech. They have mechs now and hovers and things like that. So they're not really riding Chocobos around. And there's a Chocobo around and we're going to catch it. I don't really know why. It just felt mean towards the end. Like, this Chocobo was just chilling, eating his food, and we're like, we're going to get it. I was like, I don't really understand why we're doing this, and but whatever. So we're chasing this Chocobo, and you've got to chase it, and it was actually 2 minigames. That's right, it was 2 minigames. The first minigame was that Riku could follow the Chocobo, but she wasn't correct. And I'm not joking. So she would run ahead of you and be like, the Chocobo's this way. Along the way, you have a minigame where you pick up Chocobo feathers. And then Riku will hit, like, a point in the road where she'll go, I think it went this way. But you can clearly see there's a Chocobo feather, like, in front of her in a different direction. So you're like... at first, I was like... The game is specifically telling you... it starts with a prompt. It's like, keep up with Riku. She's chasing the Chocobo, right? And so I followed Riku, and it goes, no, you failed. Do you want to start again? I'm like, okay, so Riku doesn't know where the Chocobo is. And I tried it again later on when there was no Chocobo feather on the screen. So I didn't know whether the Chocobo was ahead of us or not. And I followed Riku and she failed again. And I think she fails every single time. I think every time she offers you a choice of where to go, she's incorrect every single time. At least it was for me. I don't know whether there's some RNG involved, but it was for me. So I just ignored Riku, which was the point of this minigame. Then you get like phase 2 of the minigame. And phase 2 of the minigame is a dodge left-right based on the Chocobo running past you. And this was a little odd because the Chocobo is clearly leaning one way. In the version I got, it went middle the first 3 times. But the Chocobo is visually sort of leaning to one side. So I'm like, oh, it's leaning to the right. So you go there and no, it runs directly at the middle, even though it wasn't looking at you. And it's because when you finally get the one that is looking that way, it's much more elaborate. But the way the camera works is it doesn't look quite right until you see the difference, if you know what I mean. So you've got to deal with this new minigame on top of that. I mentioned the Cacto earlier, so that's a minigame as well. So you get the clues, so that's a minigame within a minigame again. You get the clues as to where the Cacto are. So you got a little puzzle solving, a little travel, a little exploration to find the Cacto. So you'll follow the clue and you're like, okay, so it's in this zone. Go there, explore that zone to find, and then, okay, you find the Cacto. That then turns into another minigame, another shooting minigame, but this one's different, where it will do, like, cycle through 3, he has a team, like a little Pokemon team, and he'll cycle through all of them, and you have to shoot when his comes up, so it'll go like, lizard, dragon, Cacto, lizard, dragon, Cacto. So you go lizard, dragon, wait, fire, shoots the Cacto. But also, he has a chance to fire back. And if he hits you, your ammo is reduced, and you've got to kill him before your ammo disappears. So it turns into this whole other minigame. And it's minigame upon minigame. I do think there's just far too many of them that are just not interesting. Because it does feel like you bump into them maybe every 30 minutes, and it's a new one on top of that. Not to mention that you're supposed to go back and farm these to get extra stuff, which I just don't want to do. Like, I failed the count to 10 minigame because I didn't understand. Even after doing the entire tutorial, there was an element that just never happens in the tutorial, which is vital, like I said earlier. And then once I figured that out, I started winning. I was like, oh, okay. But if you lose, that's it. It's done. And everyone's like, reload the save. I was like, I just don't want to. I don't want to. I don't care. It's just not that fun to sit here doing this and playing minigame after minigame after minigame after minigame. And I know FF's known for its minigames. Right? I've really enjoyed, snowboarding in FF7 or whatever it might be, or going to the Gold Saucer in 9 and just having fun there for a little bit. But it's a very self-contained experiment. We haven't even talked about the Calmlands, which has a bunch of like horse racing and things like that is going on. Some mini games where you can win tickets. You can get your theme park tickets. You can say that's a whole separate kettle of fish. But I think it's worth bringing up because it feels a little odd, as everything does in 10.2. I'm very much enjoying it. Like the gameplay is hard carrying in a big way, and when the story elements pop up, they're okay. They're glossing over something because the Aeons are here. And we seem to be kind of glossing over it a little bit. It's like the Aeons are here still. And like, oh, okay. I had to kill Yojimbo, which I was like, oh, that sucks. I like my boy Yojimbo. But the minigames, wearing a little thin. I'll see how that goes. The minigames, if there's a lot of the side content is just minigame after minigame. I'm also got this like morbid curiosity as to just how many there are. Of varietals of minigames that they've put into here. It seems to be the go-to. Let's have a piece of side content that has a little tiny sliver of story, but we're going to strap a minigame to it to give it gameplay elements. Very weird. Very weird. But that's what I wanted to talk about today. And we'll do more story stuff later. All right? So some of you are probably like, I love the minigames in 10.2. Awesome. For me, it's like running around, dropping tickets off, collecting balloons, doing all that kind of stuff. Not really. I'll see you again. Bye-bye.